Iran is now facing the backlash for having shot down a passenger plane bound for Ukraine, killing mostly Iranians, and then lying about it. There were protests in Tehran and other cities, chants against the supreme leader and the powerful and often feared Revolutionary Guard. Riot police called in to break up the demonstrations. Risking their freedom and potentially their lives, the protesters were undeterred, calling their leaders liars and dictators. In one video, verified by NBC News, protesters symbolically refused to walk on Israeli and American flags, symbols of the government's sworn enemies. President Trump weighed in, firing double-barreled on Twitter, in English and Farsi. One tweet, a warning to the government: don't kill the protesters, the USA is watching. The other, embracing the demonstrators, the administration stands with you. While the protests are a new domestic crisis for Iran, next door in Iraq, U.S. troops remain on high alert for possible attacks, most likely from Iranian-backed militia groups. An Iraqi base today north of Baghdad came under attack by 8 small rockets, injuring at least 4 Iraqis. No U.S. troops were there at the time. The militias are a dangerous wild card and could drag the region into conflict, which could further destabilize Iran. Only a few months ago, Iran faced one of its most intense uprisings in decades after the government, suffering under U.S. sanctions, raised gas prices. The government, U.S. officials say, killed hundreds of protesters in an extraordinarily lethal crackdown.
After President Trump ordered the killing of Iran's top general here in Baghdad, a wave of patriotism and national unity swept over Iran, a wave that now appears to be breaking.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.